Just to set the context of what we are going to discuss in next 45 minutes to an hour is about innovation in the retail store format. So I think greeting to all my co-panelists, and innovation in retail industry is yesterday's reality. I think this is one industry that needs to constantly innovate to enhance customer or consumer experience. In fact, in last 12 to 18 months, new ways and technologies continue to reshape retail in interesting and unexpected ways. For example, the phrase conversational commerce was fairly unknown in the retail industry in 2015, but the sector took major steps into the conversational commerce era with the new solutions using artificial intelligence and robotics. Retailers are already making significant investments in technology. For example, Walmart alone spent more than $10.5 billion in 2015-16 on technology, which is topping the list of world's biggest technology spenders. So this is actually reshaping the whole retail industry. There is disruption that's happening as we speak, and there is innovation that's cutting edge and technology driven. And that brings me to my first question to my panelists. So my first question, and I'll start with Vishal, who is sitting next to me, is how do you think, Vishal, technology would unsettle and or empower the retail store format?
See, good afternoon to all. I'll say it like technology is here to stay, so we cannot, whether we love it or hate it, we have to accept it. So as a brick and mortar store or any like, but on the grounds that I see what couple of changes which are brick and mortar guys can pick up in, like self-checkout is a new thing which is coming up. You must be seeing that. Actionable intelligence is what I feel that is what technology we needs to be look at. When I talk about actionable intelligence, then we need to have a technology which is informing the customers to help in buying it. I'll take a very small example from how this technology, you go to a store, a clothing store, and see, you see a very beautiful store, the lightings are there, but once you roam around, you see some stuff, and you take along with them to the try room. And when you get to the try room, that little very dim light, and you see like a mirror which can show you beautiful, but only you'll have to put your energy into. See, where is the shopping experience? Where is the final decision is coming at? The final decision is coming at in the trial room, but we are missing out that. So there's no, now if you make some lighting, such kind of lighting which can make you feel better, which can make you feel good, or you can use some technology things which can help you in design, some informations are like that. So he spends time there, he buys it there. So in the similar manner, I feel that technology can be useful for all the places where brick and mortar guys can help. We talk about logistics. The most important thing which a brick and mortar guys will have to look at is in logistics. Because if they invest in supply chain logistics, if they put money in there, then there is a very high probability that they can be very successful in making that store and the operational costs. Because cost is one factor every retailer has to look at. So there are a lot of things which technology can help on. I see it is here to stay, bring out the best out of it, make the maximum use of it, and invest in more on information sharing in terms of intelligence through technology to the consumer, make him aware, make him intelligent, so that at least he can buy it out from you, rather than only going with the prices or only going with some features and that.
So I think that's on the additive part, so how technology is adding value. But Ayush, do you also think that technology is going to unsettle the retail store format in the manner which we currently are unable to comprehend?
Sorry, I didn't get that question.
Yeah, I'm saying, so one part is being additive, in enhancing the experience of customers or your whole supply chain. But do you also think that the technology is going to unsettle the retail store environment or construct as we go along?
I'll add to what Vishal said first. I think what Vishal said is innovation in sort of technology and how behavior pattern for the consumers will change in virtue of technology. I think e-commerce and the other platforms, yes, I'm 110% in circumstance where technology plays a very, very important part. In brick and mortar retail, I think it always has to be hand in glove. Technology and the brick and mortar stores always have to go hand in hand. That's one. Second, when you say that, do I see that it will disrupt? No, I see it as an ecosystem where a collaborative effort of both technology and brick and mortar is going to last retail for the coming 5 years. That's my take on it.
Okay. Jenny, anything to add?
I think the way we are looking at consumer interface in a space, I think technology is very integral. It's important, but I think from a very interactive perspective, I think your touch and feel of the products or touch and feel of the merchandise is very, very important. So there should be a strong blend of technology and a great experience in the store design that needs to come in. That's my take on it.
And you know, I'll also add something here. Let's just look at our retail, which is there today. I mean, I can talk about my industry. I am from a made-to-measure business. Study by Janak is a made-to-measure firm. So I do not see for the next 5 or 10 years that people are going to just buy a suit online without even touching the fabric. I mean, you have to sort of touch and feel the fabric. Yes, the visual representation of the fabric on technology is an added-on factor, which we've already done at our stores. I mean, you visit any of our store, you will see that, you know, whatever you can imagine in terms of your imagination that you want this particular product, that product will be on display on the screen, and you can customize the entire outfit as per your choice. But you would still need to see and touch the fabric so that you exactly know what you're buying. So that is the consumer pattern in brick and mortar, which that's the industry I represent. I feel that it's going to stay for another 5 years. Technology will add to it in terms of it will enhance the consumer experience, where the consumers will sort of come back to us and they'll be more loyal. But I think that's what technology and brick and mortar would go hand in hand for.
Rajesh?
I think we've covered most of it, but definitely I would just like to start off saying that if you go into technology piece, you know, it's like 2 decades back. You know, we were just thinking, contemplating, saying, you know, the queues, the long queues we used to have at the railway booking platform when IRCTC first launched 17 years back. It's brought in a lot of transparency in the system. You know, you don't have to waste your time. Then you had a second phase where you saw the net banking starting. So you don't have to waste your time standing in a long queue, etc. So I'm saying technology is a given at every phase, every stage. Last 2 decades in India has seen tremendous improvement in efficiency, cost efficiencies, productivity, in terms of overall building up the entire ecosystem to be prepared to catch up with the Western markets. Today, when we travel inside, in India or outside, we don't see much of difference between us. 20 years back, we were kind of a terribly bad nation which didn't have any clue of what's happening around. So I think it's imperative we understand technology, we leverage it to the best possible manner.
Great. So moving on, I think somebody mentioned e-commerce. So I'll ask the next question. Since e-commerce channel is also constantly innovating with concepts like drone-based deliveries, pop-up stores, which are not only cost-effective, but also make life easy for both consumer and the e-commerce players, do you think traditional retail store channel can continue to coexist with the e-commerce channel? And if yes, then how? And maybe Rajesh, you can start on that one.
Sure, thanks. I think absolutely, you know, I mean, there is no doubt that both cannot coexist. So first thing is, I think the Indian landscape is constantly evolving. Why only India? If you go abroad, if you see the Western markets, you see US, you will find that both the platforms coexist and actually they complement each other. Now let me give you an example. Very simple, very straight. My wife spends more than 2 hours, you know, looking for different offers on the phone. She places order, but then she also goes to the store and she buys from there. There are a lot of things which you still would like to, you know, the feel, the look, I mean, as Ayush just told us. So I think it is important, and I think it exists. Now, especially in the food and grocery space where we exist, I think a lot of things here now, while we say that fruit and vegetables can be bought online, and people do buy, I think it's the amount of time or the efficiency, or I would rather put it like this, you got 16 hours you are awake in a day. Now you want to use those 16 hours in the most productive way. So if you think so you'll have different set of people with different preferences. Some would go and buy fresh on their own. They want to be sure of the fish, chicken, meat they were buying. They want to see it themselves, smell it. They don't want surprises coming to their house. So I think for such people, they will definitely come to a supermarket or a hypermarket. People who are hard-pressed on time will still go and place orders, and probably, they want to use their time somewhere else. So I think overall, I see pretty much, a situation where both will coexist and they will complement each other. That's I would feel.
Jenny?
I'd like to add to what Rajesh said. In the retail design perspective, or where the interactive experience happens, I think it's it has to exist cohesively. So we've actually worked with brands who have been online, on the online business, and we've built the brick and mortar store. And in scenarios like that, what we've done is we've tried to integrate the e-commerce bit into the store. So when the customer walks in, he or she gets to see the merchandise, touch and feel the product. And we've also created a place which is where he or she spends more time and does online sales. So that kind of, I think both coexist quite well. If that is there, that's how brand can actually leverage in terms of sales.
So is that taking it into the direction of saying that it's a natural extension or kind of a support to the e-commerce platform, the retail store, traditional retail store channel?
I think it is, they complement each other. You cannot, if you really want to ensure that you're visible more, you're allowing the consumer to know more about the brand, I think both needs to go cohesively together.
Ayush?
Again, I think, Sardul, we're talking about the same thing. It's hand in glove. Like brick and mortar and technology is hand in glove. But to answer your question, what you just said, that, how is the consumer behavior of the salesperson who's attending the client changing in virtue of the technology? Yes. I mean, we're still to, have those particular retail training schools, if I may put it, because end of the day now, retail is becoming more of lifestyle rather than just selling the product. Selling the product is one thing, but the experience to the client is the most important thing now. That is human interaction. Experience through technology is one thing, but human interaction experience is another. So I really feel that we at SBJ are really trying to set up a lot of training schools, etc., where, we can have the same sort of hospitality going on in the luxury hotels across the globe in our own stores as well, which would in turn sort of give that experience to a client, a feel-good factor, where he'll be entitled to come back with a mix of technology, of course.
Yeah, but I think my question was also directed towards the fact that given that e-commerce players are introducing new concepts like drone-based deliveries, pop-up stores, their cost of operations are going down. So retail format traditionally is high on CapEx, capital investment. So how do you believe that that environment wherein there is going to be probably a natural disadvantage from a CapEx standpoint, how do you think the retail traditional channel will sustain?
Yeah. So that's not going to go away for retailers, especially brick and mortar retailers, for a long time, because that's how retail is done. It's much more of a human interaction rather than a technology interaction. So where retailers can sort of differentiate and make money is to add newer products which have more margins so that they can sort of be more profitable, train the human resource so that, customers are more loyal and they come back to the brand. And adding to that, I think, e-commerce is a virtue which is helping us in retail. Because customers are so digital friendly. They have everything that this is what they want to buy. But because of the virtue of the feel and touch, they eventually come to the store and ask for the same product. So I say it's an aggregator to sales.
I think, Vishal, in your case, your product is bought online as well as you have these standalone stores.
Yeah.
So why do you think retail format or traditional retail store format is an additive to your business model?
See, we are very clear with this that we are in the business which is like we see e-commerce as an alternate channel. So like now if you want to marry offline and online, so I see simply buy online and deliver offline. So like simple. So when we started this, I'll take you through this small journey which we have. We started our retail business about 2 years back. And we were starting at that time, the online was on the peak of, like every newspaper was talking about online business. And people used to ask us that why you guys are putting your money into setting up offline stores. And we have more than 125 stores in 90 cities and 23 states in just 2 years' time. So we just rolled out, like every 5th day we are opening a store. But the purpose of rolling out that was to, when it will come into the integration of offline and online, it will be like a true picture will come out. Now what we are bringing up, you buy online, our stores will act like a logistics for storage. Now stores will act like a delivery point. Now where are the cost of an online are? You have the maximum cost in delivery. You have the maximum cost in cash collection. You have the maximum cost in like the supply chain logistics and the returns. So all these things are which we are overcoming through these stores. Now if you buy a small speaker, let's suppose we are the largest manufacturer of speakers in India. So if you're buying a speaker, you want to get it delivered in, let's suppose, in some of the city which is where online is not even delivering it. There are a lot of places in India where online are not delivering because of the negative list. So if we have a store there and somebody buys a speaker, technology will help us in intimating the order, and the order will get delivered through the store. Now store is acting like a warehouse, store is acting like a collection point, store is acting like if you want to have a credit, even this store is acting like if you want to have an EMI on that thing. Now a credit card machine can be taken over, and if you want to buy a television from us, and you can at least go along with that EMI offer to that person's home. So all these things can be used. So the only mantra is that buy online, deliver it offline. Now if somebody thinks that, okay, fine, he doesn't like that 32 inches television. Now you want to have a 40-inch television, and in normal case of online, he'll send it back. But in our case, we would say, okay, fine, if you don't like this, you want to buy a smart television, or if you want a 40-inch television, come to our store, you see it. If you want to, we can replace it hand to hand. So all this cost of doing everything has been saved. So once we have rolled out 125 stores, now we are in such a stage that now we can integrate, we can marry, and we can use this all platforms to. So I think most of the retailers who are having a presence, if they want to operate in their territories, if they integrate online with that, these are the small things where we can pick up and where we can save our costs, and we can bring out the. So we are here to stay. We have invested so much, we are here to stay. So when we have to find out the solution rather than been discussing on that what we can. And I think this has been a great solution to us. And in coming days, when we launch out all these things, then you will have especially I see that let's take an example of Uttar Pradesh. Now 60-70% of the Uttar Pradesh is negative list of delivering the stocks. If we have the stores there, so we can deliver it there because we know which area we are comfortable in delivering and how. So I think it's opening a store and opening online, both will help us in bringing out all this. And moreover, you can have an experience of that in our store.
Yeah.
I'd
sure.
like to add, but this is slight shift to the content here. If you're looking at the lingerie industry, we have worked with multiple lingerie brands. And what we see is in the online business, yeah, people do go and, pick up stuff. But there is something called the fit guide session that has been done on the store premises, whether it could be the multi-brand outlets, whether it's Shoppers or Lifestyle or any of those brands, space, where they are extensively working on ensuring that there is customer interface, there is a certain amount of trust that comes in when you're actually trying a product. So I think in my understanding, what I see is whether it is any category, I think apart from the white goods, apart from the technology bit, I think in the other categories, what I see, there is a must for customer interface. There is a must for enhancing experience for the customer to understand what the brand or what the product line is, because everything is very personalized. So this is something that is extensively being done by the lingerie brand players.
Sure, and with the GST sort of rolling out in July, it's a great opportunity for all the retailers to have their presence across states, across places. It's a brilliant opportunity. So I think brick and mortar is here to stay for longer time. It's just coexistence, and this is the right time to sort of expand as well.
Great. So I think just now getting the designer's view into place, Jenny, given that many of the retailers are now asking for new aspects to improve the in-store experience, like digital kiosk, in-store iPads, digital signs, wearable wrist devices, and so on and so forth. Do you think these are genuine additives, or these are now par for course?
This is one question. This is a tough one, because what happens is when brands come to us, they do want to be in the technology. They want to integrate technology into their store. My next question to them is, how much are you willing to push? So what happens is when we are curating experiences for the customer, keeping the brand in place, it's a big challenge because one, it's investment. Second is about after service. So once you have the technology integrated, how do you have service points? How do you manage service? And third most challenging thing is because it needs to be relevant. So what happens when there is a technology integrated now, 6 months down the line, 9 months down the line, there is a shift in terms of what the need is. So how do you manage that? So there's a huge, not all brands are really willing to invest the kind of monies that we need to do in integrating technology. That's the biggest thing that we see. And as in design firm, I think we are talking about experience design. When we say experience design, we are talking about the interface of customer in many, many ways. It could be about how you get your sensories in place, how do you get the customer to see the brand in the right way that the brand wants the customer to see. So these are all challenges, and I think technology is, there's still a long way for us as a country to, to let the customer to actually see and feel the technology that they want to. So there is a tough time in terms of integrating them together.
So Rajesh, in your kind of business, technology may be on consumer experience, but it also kind of is also involved in the whole supply chain management side, which is cost, operating effectiveness, and so on and so forth. So given that it's going to be a play kind of across organizations, so do you think it's going to be, as I said, it's going to be par for course, everybody is doing it, so you also need to invest? Or do you think it's going to be competitive advantage for your organization or similar organizations if they invest in differentiated technology?
Sure. I think first thing is that we believe, like the retailers, believe that technology is something which we have to use to make our processes better, to get the cost efficiencies. So constantly we are investing in technology. So technology for us is something which is the part and parcel of the business. Now, how do we leverage technology beyond only efficiency and customer service is actually in terms of customer experience as well. So just a small example, I mean, typically one of the key challenges which retailers will have, or they have, is a skew between week and weekend business. So the weekday business and a weekend business could be at least, almost half. So Monday to Friday, what amount of the quantum of business you do, and especially in a hyper format, is exactly the same or little more during the weekends. Now, you can't plan your entire manpower and your entire setup in a way that you will be able to do justice with that. So that means typically during the weekends, there is a long queue at the cash tills. The customers are there because maybe it fits into them because it's a weekend and they are free to shop. And then there is a problem as well, a good problem to have, too many customers at the same time. Now you need to use technology, and what we, for example, have done, we've actually partnered and we've built up a queue buster program, wherein when we see that the queues are becoming very long, we immediately go and we start doing a queue buster program where we start kind of addressing more customers with the same infrastructure. So I think this is just one example. Accordingly, there's a lot of back-end related technology things that we are doing at the same time. We have developed an app which helps us to actually put the product. So, when you say availability for a retailer is one of the key things. And the availability will have two parts. One is availability, which is in the store availability, in stock availability. And the second one challenging is on shelf. Now, how do you ensure that you have the stock in the store, but you have it on the shelf as well? So there is a lot of technology investments which are going in to ensure that, we constantly keep giving our customers better service. So overall, we are using it both at front end and back end at the same time.
Sure. So just changing the topic a bit, getting on to the human resource side of the innovation in retail industry. With the brick and mortar stores deploying concepts like virtual fitting rooms, now you have mannequins interacting with customers through mobile app, you have interactive billboards to enhance the face-to-face sales experience. Ayush, what's your take, given that you're running a fairly 2+ decades old business that has been built strength to strength? What's your take on the future of the retail sales associates, given that's one block that's heavily involved from graduate up into this segment?
Okay, so I am into, I can represent for my industry. It's a little niche. We are into made to measure. So hence, overall, I think overall retail also would be hand in glove. It'll be the same thing. We have to evolve. I mean, for example, now imagine yourself walking into any of the high streets in Delhi, and you're walking into a store for an occasion where shopping. Now, you are not walking in a mall, correct? You are going for an occasion where shopping, where you have a specific need. Now the salesman at the first interaction, what you are going to have is with the sales guy. So he has to guide you as to what all you should buy. It is more of a suggestive selling. The traditional practice is that you ask for a need, I give you the need, and done, bang on, sales done. But now the changing practice is that because of the competition kicking in, the traditional guys are also going a mile further, and they are sort of doing suggestive selling through technology and having human interaction. For that, there are two things. Through technology, there are these virtual try rooms where you can sort of try any product and you can see before even buying it how it's looking on you. There is also customization where it comes to practice, like the physical fabrics at the stores have been rendered into the machines. So you genuinely get an experience of how the product is going to look after customization before it's even getting made. And that also you can try it on. That's the technology bit. Then when the salesman sort of comes and play it is, he sort of not only deals with you, he deals with the entire family. So he suggests everything what the client has to buy for all occasions, sort of makes a package, no rush of sales. And then when the customer is extremely satisfied with entire bunch of whatever he had to buy for various occasions, that's how they close the deal. So the sales guys have sort of changed their way of need-based selling, I would just rather put it like that, to a lifestyle sales. And that too in the manner which sort of you get the same kind of hospitality which you would get at a Taj or an Oberoi. And that is the future of at least the couture retail, I would just put it like that.
So Vishal, would that mean that you would need to upskill? If I am the sales executive, I need to upskill, change my skilling to match to this innovation or change in the ways of working in the retail in future?
I would like to say it like this, stop calling them sales representatives, stop calling them salesmen, whatever you call. Start calling them sales advisors, start calling them sales coach, start calling them. Now I'll take a very small example from a sari shop. Now once you, or a sari shop or a cosmetic shop. Now you go there, if a woman is standing there, she spends almost like 15, 20, 25 minutes there. Why? To buy a lipstick or to buy some cosmetic product. Because that person is acting like an advisor. Ma'am, your skin is dust, so you need this color will suit you. You are fair, this color will suit you. If you go to the sari shop, ma'am, it's winter, so you should buy this. It's summers, you should not buy silk. So these are small advising things. So we should stop calling them as salesmen, or we should start calling them smart advisors. Now, let's suppose I'm selling a speaker, and I'm a salesman. I'll call it like that. And then you should have a voice advisor, or a cosmetic advisor, or something like that. So once you advise somebody, you help him to buy, you make him informative, you make him knowledgeable. That is what the next level is coming up, because it's now not a time where I agree with Piyush on that. It's not a time when you come and buy. You need advice on that. What are you going to buy? So person has to be like an expert. He should be called as a voice expert or something like that. So the moment you start naming them with this, the moment the person will start adapting that thing, he'll be trained accordingly, your whole organization will start working in that manner, and this is the way it is. So I think rather than we should learn from these cosmetic people, or we should learn from these sari shops, that how do they engage the customer for almost 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and they keep on helping them to buy out that. So like we are also we have to act like the same. And I think this is what our take is, and we have to transform ourselves in such a manner that this is the way the new salesmanship will be new, one which we need to add our stores.
No, very, very well said. I think the last one that I want to put as a theme before we take questions is to you, Vishal. In the world of multi-brand outlets, which are also innovating by adding value in the services and the portfolio of offerings, how do you think that single brand exclusive outlets will outsmart and outshine, wherein the experience from a multi-brand outlet perspective is much wider? What's your take on that?
See, there's an old say, if you have to stand out, stand out. Simple. Now you say you want to stand out, then you'll have to stand out. You cannot be in a queue and you say, look at me, I'm standing. See, we accept that. We are here we are standing out. So whatever we have, now there's a big portfolio of organizations. Like if you look at, we have 40 plus, 50 plus SKUs of speakers, and like, do you think that somebody will accept us and give us such of a space to showcase our 18 SKUs of air conditioners and like the new product which we are coming up with, LED televisions or refrigerators? So we need to have our own space. We need to have our own space where we can at least make him experience. The second most important thing which I would like to say on this forum is, please educate your customer. This is one area where you can bring loyalty. People think that they can bring loyalty by advertising or by giving discounts or this, and you must have been seeing it online everywhere, that you give discount, you're bringing customers to you and they'll be loyal. Sorry, they'll never be loyal to you. They'll only be loyal to you when you will add some value in their life by information, by sharing knowledge. If I tell a person, sir, this is the way to measure a television, this is the way, diagonally you see, this is the way to measure a 40-inch television or a 32-inch. Trust me, it is a knowledge, it is an information. So the moment you start giving him some extra knowledge about the product, or I think you need a platform to do that. And when we are opening our stores, we are bringing everything on the plate. We are making them experience, we are making them informed, we are making them knowledgeable. Either we buy it from us or not is the second question, but I think it's the way which you will connect with the customers. You can make him informed. Rest, leave it to him, whether he buys from you or not. But I think the way you do it, there's a 99% probability that he'll definitely buy it from you.
So Jenny, would a multi-brand outlet be very different from a design element standpoint than a single frame outlet?
Yeah, it is, because the entire space has different categories in it, different brands in it. So what happens there is we'll have to define what that multi-brand outlet is going to stand for, the USP of that.
They'll never be loyal to you.
They'll only be loyal to you when you will add some value in their life by information, by sharing knowledge. If I tell a person, sir, this is the way to measure a television, this is the way, diagonally you see, this is the way to measure 40-inch television or 32-inch. Trust me, it is a knowledge, it is an information. So the moment you start giving him some extra knowledge about the product, or I think you need a platform to do that. And when we are opening our stores, we are bringing everything on the plate. We are making them experience, we are making them informed, we are making them knowledged. Either we buy it from us or not is the second question, but I think it's the way which you will connect with the customers. You can make him informed. Rest, leave it to him, whether he buys from you or not. But I think the way you do it, there's a 99% probability that he'll definitely buy it from you.
So Jenny, would a multi-brand outlet be very different from a design element standpoint than a single frame outlet?
Yeah, it is, because the entire space has different categories in it, different brands in it. So what happens there is we'll have to define what that multi-brand outlet is going to stand for, the USP of that.
Hi, my name is Binay, and I belong to a company called NIS Software. We are planning to go retailing. My question is to Rajesh. How do you see rural retailing in the entire ecosystem? Because there are a lot of companies who have tried rural retailing, and majority of them have failed. So what are the challenges? And if somebody is planning to get into rural retailing, what are the key factors that they have to keep in mind before entering into it? Thank you.
Thanks. I think the answer is very simple. We all work on business models, and we have to make money at the end of the day as an organization. The way the rural markets, and I would say that rural is no more rural. There is a lot of urbanization which is happening. Those guys have no less understanding on technology or on communication or on understanding the brands, etc. So I feel that there is a business model for sure. The timing is very critical. I mean, you can't just go and open an outlet in a market where you don't understand. So I think a lot of research is required before getting into any market. You need to understand the demographics. You need to understand what are the taste preferences. And I think you need to, first of all and foremost, is to understand whether your format fits into the market that you are entering into. So I think a strong research is required before you get into it. Lastly, it is very important to know whether, in any form of retail, I would say it is very important to decide on your offering. Now, typically, for example, we are hypermarkets. We have stores starting from 30,000, 35,000 up to 65, 70, 80,000 square feet. Now, we can't open an 80,000 in a tier 1 or 2. So I think it's important to understand the market, the whole potential it has, do a research, do a good job, and also wait for the timing. For example, we don't want to get into a tier 1, 2 at this stage. But definitely 10 years down the line, when we see things moving up pretty well, we might definitely look at expanding there as well. So, I mean, that's the broader line things.
Yeah. Hi, this is Varun Sigla, and I'm from Vakshi Organics. My question is to Vishal sir or Ayush sir, anybody who can answer out of two. So we have opened our retail outlet. It's our business venture, and we have opened our organic food store just 3 months back. What I want to, need guidance for is, what is the most efficient way of advertising that outlet? Because in 3 months, we have adopted different channels. There were pamphlets in newspapers that were distributed. There are different hoardings. But still, somehow we feel that, when we interact with customers, they say, "Dikha nahi, outlet jo hai, nazar mein nahi aaya." And we are having a very good presence. I mean, we are seeing it from distance. So what is the most efficient way of marketing and letting people know that this is something that is there?
Very good question for every retailer. It's not for you. So anybody who's opening a shop, the first point he wants is to get noticed. There is a shop there, at least then only somebody will enter. I think there's very old saying, people used to say that in the earlier days when the retailing was not in books and there were no books published,
But it was like this कि 3 साल लगते हैं दुकान को सब लोग जान ले. Example, I'm just taking it. Don't take it like अभी 3 साल लगते हैं. Like 3 साल लगते हैं. पहले साल हम लोग दुकानदारी को थोड़ा customer समझता है, फिर वो goodwill बनती है, and then we. But now I think as we are learning in a kind of time where there's no time. The only, if you ask me, the organic solution is time. But inorganically, you can create. First, understand who is your TG. Because अगर आप आपको सिर्फ उसी के ही knowledge में आना है, पहली priority वही रहती है. Now look at all the touch points that you do. Use all the emotional triggers. Now people miss out a lot of things that when we use visual merchandise on a store. Why do we do visual merchandise? Because somewhere we use colors, somewhere we use some designs, because we want to create some emotional trigger to that the person should notice us. And that's what I said, to stand out, stand out. So you have to come out, not like don't copy someone, but find out new innovatives, how you can connect with them, understand your TG well, make sure that where does he goes, what does he do, find out his habits, his psychological habits, and everywhere, wherever you can, it's like a spying on him with and make out that wherever he is, you are there. So, and get him noticed. Because see, on an average, I think, I don't know the exact data, but on an average, you come across around 150, 160 brands in a day. And to keep that mind share in space is very typical job, because that's where all marketers are striving for. You pick up a toothbrush, you see Colgate, you see something. There are hundreds of brands that you came across in a day. And to put your name in this is like a very, psychologically, it's a very complicated job. But you have to keep doing it, keep recalling it. Don't lose hope. As you said, we get unnoticed sometimes, but don't lose hope, because slowly and gradually that will start penetrating in it. Most of the time when I see, we give up because we are on the edge of reaching, and we give up, nahi hota ab to, and we turn back. I think don't lose hope. You will still find out the solution in your own domain, and keep doing it, and find out the emotional triggers, because these are the factors which bring that information in your mind. Because if there's no turbulence in your communication, then it means like it goes for like, okay, fine, you heard it and you forget it. But makes these all use of all these colors to communication, to the method, to the medium, and don't do it for the sake of doing it. Watch it and then observe it back, that whether it has got an impact on it. Sometimes you will not see the impact, and give a span of time. Don't watch it in some very short span of time. Okay, I put an ad in this, 3 दिन में मेरे पास तो customer आए ही नहीं and all that. Because at that point of time, there are a lot of factors, there are a lot of influential factors which are important at the moment of buying or something, whether your TG needs it. So watch it closely, keep using all these tactics, and keep doing it. I think, and second is important, is time. Don't think that you will have a immediate impact. Give some time, you'll find the answers, and you'll be the most watched store. Do something constructive and interesting in the store, at outside, inside, so at least you get noticed.
Okay. Do we have any other question, or should we wrap up the session? Okay, I think the last one.
The session is very informative, but I am seeing one point missing since the morning. My problem is that when we talk about brick and mortar retail store here, it only is meaning large organized stores, or you can call them MTO. So my question is for the complete panel, that what do you see the future of mom and pop stores, the small kirana and grocery shops, which are the actual retail stores of India?
See,
Thank you.
I think very good question. I think we apologize that we missed on as this aspect, what he has rightly said on, that we missed on as small stores, that mom and pop stores are there. And I was just discussing it when we were sitting inside the other room, and we were discussing on. In the coming days, trust me, once you see your own, you can even launch your own YouTube channel, your own channel on YouTube nowadays. In the coming days, the technology will be so adaptable and so available to even any of the store.
It's not only that we will be only, or big companies can only invest in this, and you can only sell. So I personally see that for coming with these mom and stops, they have a good future ahead. When I say good future, if they'll adapt the new techniques of selling, if they'll adapt the new technology. I know sometimes when the technology is new, the prices are very high for that technology. But don't keep on, because the customer is the same for you and for all the people who are buying it from there. So the customer is same, and I see stick with the basics, stick to the basics. Because any form of retailing, anything which come up, the basics will remain the same. So stick to the basics. Use as you can use the technology when the cost goes low, and adapt it and make the customer happy. I think mom and pop stores are here to stay.
Yeah, just to add on what Vishal said, I think it's a very interesting question you have raised, because we're talking about organized retail versus, the e-commerce. Of course, we didn't talk about kiranas here right now, but it's an interesting piece. Actually, if you see the kiranas, when the modern retail came in, that was the first question. Will they exist? Will the companies, big companies, the FDI block which was happening, was all because people felt that they would not survive. Today, if you see the competition clearly, without saying the name, there are formats which are running, large size formats, up to 150, 200 stores. The market is growing tremendously. I don't think anybody needs to really be worried about their existence. Now, the kirana, interestingly, the mom and pop stores or kiranas or whatever we may call, are more from the food and grocery side, particularly. I think the big retailers also really envy them on certain things. The speed, the connect with the customer. They know each and every customer by name who comes into them. The first question they ask is, how are you doing? How's the family? Oh, you are not, I didn't see you for the last 1 week. I mean, that's something which a modern retail guy doesn't even think of. So I think the connect is very strong. That's Vishal's point as well, that if you connect with your customer and if you are able to differentiate and if you can keep giving him that, comfort, it will happen. Now, quickly, I think from a hyper to a mom and pop store, clearly a mom and pop has its own advantage, whether it is a kirana unorganized or a small size format competing against a hypermarket. Because an hypermarket is a long shopping hours. You need to put in 1.5, 2 hours before you move in and out of the store. Now, again, as I said, if you are awake for 16 hours in a day, you want to make the best out of it. So a lot of people will just go and walk into the shop just in the locality, pick up the stuff and come back. And the top-ups usually happen with the kirana. So I don't see a reason why they will not exist. If they have to flourish, they have to be sharper and better in their own ways, not necessarily only on the basis of technology.
Good, I think. Thanks a lot to all my panelists. I think it was a great panel discussion. Just to sum up, I think retail stores will continue to reshape and innovate in order to provide improved consumer experience. We genuinely believe, all of us on the panel, that technology will be a driver. That's coming our way. 12 to 18 months, we'll see a lot of changes happening in the industry. There is going to be big play on robotics, big play on artificial intelligence, and these are not sci-fi words. Now they are reality. People are using them in day-to-day life. What we genuinely believe as a panel, that there is a need to upskill the current workforce to take advantage of these technological enhancements. E-commerce and brick and mortar channels will coexist, but through better integration and synergies. So that's what we believe in. Thank you all for being part of the session, and thank you all my panelists.
Well, thank you very much indeed. A very befitting session, a post-lunch session there. In most of the conferences, they call a post-lunch session as a graveyard session, but this definitely didn't turn out to be one, with some very, very enriching perspectives. So thank you very much. I'm going to request you, sir, to please present the mementos to the fellow panel members. First up, to Mr. Vishal Malik. I'd like to request Ms. Payal Gulati, the Senior Editor, Retailer Media with Franchise India Ltd, to please come on stage and present the memento to our session moderator, Mr. Sardul Seth.